Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, How to Turn Strangers into Happy, High-Value Clients in 3 Easy Steps. My name is Sharad Agarwal. I'm the CEO of CyberGear and founder of onlywebinars.com. I'm pleased to welcome our speaker, Neeraj Shah. Good morning, Neeraj.
Hi, good morning, Sharad.
So for our audience, Neeraj is back with us for the 3rd time, and he's obviously very popular with our audience, and we love to have him back. And he's, as you know, a guru on LinkedIn. He has his own business called Titan Masterminds, which he operates from Mumbai, India. And I'm happy to collaborate with Neeraj and provide our audience valued content. And I'm sure in today's webinar, you'll learn a lot of tips, which Neeraj will be sharing with us. And they will help you in networking, in finding new customers. And let me just share a little secret with you before we get started. As some of you might know, CyberGear has been around for 25 years in the digital space. And in the last 25 years, we never hired a single salesperson. And this is true because we always get our business through our strong network. So be it LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, what have you, networking works. And I can promise you that's a good way of generating organic leads. And it has worked for me terribly well. And I recommend that you spend a good amount of time, especially on LinkedIn, if you are looking to generate B2B leads. It works perfectly, and I'm sure Neeraj will certify that. And I'm sure it works for him as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Neeraj for the next 45 minutes to present this topic, which I think is very relevant for all of us. And after Neeraj is done with his presentation, I'll be happy to address your questions. I will be asking Neeraj to join in and answer your questions. So Neeraj, over to you, and please educate us.
Thank you so much, Sharad. So how do we turn strangers into happy, high-value clients in 3 very simple steps? So the first thing that I want to really cover, and I'll cover a quick story as well after that, but is there are 3 key things that I'd like to cover. Number 1, the key mistake that stops people from generating new clients and actually turns strangers off. And at any given stage, sooner or later, we're going to have to talk to strangers and get them to be engaged and interested, and then develop them into clients. So I'm going to take you through that particular mistake and not to make it. And then I'm going to take you through 3 very easy, simple steps that will help you leverage the power of social selling. And I'll take you through what social selling is, because that is the key that is going to help you turn strangers into high-paying clients. And then thereafter, I'm going to share a 6-step framework that I have been using incredibly well for the last 18 months that have produced incredible results. It's helped me grow my brand and really monetize it into a new niche, into a new business. So let me do this. Let me share my screen right now. Okay. There you go. Alrighty. So hopefully you're able to see my screen.
Yes.
So quick personal story. Before COVID, my business was essentially a offline business, a training and coaching consulting business. And I was meeting with my clients offline. And when COVID happened, obviously, like so many businesses out there, we had to really, pivot. And I found myself saying, okay, what is the best that I can do. And I've been kind of toying with LinkedIn for a while, but not really actively using it. But I decided to then get super, into LinkedIn, and I was then able to get some incredible results. Now, I just want to quickly show you my iPad just suddenly went off. Give me a second. Just want to quickly put this on. Here we go. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. Just a second,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's good news.
Yes, good news. and what happened was that using the principles that I'm going to be sharing with you, I decided to focus on a specific niche, which is LinkedIn. And I went on to join another network, which was a company called Genius U. And Genius U has about 1.7 million entrepreneurs worldwide, which it works with. And using the principles that I'm going to share with you in terms of social selling, I went from being, someone who was ranked 2,560, and you can see that there were 2,566 mentors. I was really at the bottom of the pile. And within a period of 6 months, I was able to get to this particular ranking, which is 14. So I'm in the top 20 mentors. And just last week, you will see here that I've been actually named runner-up in terms of the top mentors. So I'm essentially in the top 3 mentors. And I ended up launching a LinkedIn course for their clients, and we, helped them generate tens of thousands of dollars. But not only that, it ended up helping me get on the limelight and build such a strong personal brand in a short time that people, which has interviewed the likes of people like Dr. Marshall Goldsmith and so many global thought leaders. I actually managed to make their power list of the top 200 global thought leaders. So how did I end up doing that? Okay. First things first, you don't want to end up making this particular mistake, which I've seen this happen throughout, okay, which is premature solicitation. Whenever I've seen people network, and it doesn't matter whether they're virtually networking or they're meeting face-to-face, because I know a number of people have started now to meet face-to-face, okay? And the analogy that I would like you to use here is, that you want to avoid premature solicitation. And I'm going to share a relationship analogy that will make sense to you. So girl meets boy, and on day 1, boy proposes to girl. And what happens? You end up getting a slap on your face. And this is typically what people end up doing. They've just met a stranger, and it's like you shove your digital visiting card or your actual visiting card, and you go into your sales pitch and you try and sell to people. And that is the number 1 turnoff. And I've seen people do that on LinkedIn constantly. It happens to me every single week. Someone will send me a connection request. I will accept it. And straight after the connection request, the next message is, oh, this is my product and service and I'm selling. Okay. And if you really want to leverage this particular platform and generate high value clients, then you've got to stop doing that. So the question is, then what do you end up doing instead? Okay. And there are just 3 simple steps, okay? So the first thing that you've got to do is you've got to become visible. Who are some of the key movers and shakers? And you've got to become visible to them. So with this network that I joined, Genius U, I started becoming visible to the key people. I became visible to the founder and his second line of management, to some of the key mentors, other coaches that were there. I began to reach out. So the first thing is you've got to be visible. I'm going to be taking you through a 6-step framework which shows you how you can exactly do that. The second thing that you've got to do is you've got to become credible. And I'm going to show you how you can begin to build credibility. Okay. And it is a process. It is a sequential process. You can't jump from being visible and straight going to credible, or you can't say I'm credible straight away. And then the third step is profitability. Okay. And this particular process, I was involved with a business network called BNI, and I started BNI here in India and scaled it up to over 10,000 plus businesses across 28 cities. So, I kind of was doing this day in, day out, and I really understood it. And if you then begin to translate this onto a platform like LinkedIn, which has 774 million users now. You have the top management that are there. You have key decision makers. 4 out of 5 people on LinkedIn are decision makers. You have very high value potential clients. This is another stat that you should know, that 41% of people earn more than $75,000 on LinkedIn. So not only do you have people who are decision makers, but you have people who earn high incomes. And when you translate this onto LinkedIn, then you've got to look at it from this particular angle, which is you've got to have people get to know you, like you, and trust you. And again, this is a process. And you can't just jump from no to trust, because it's just simply not going to happen. So you've got to end up really building a strong personal brand, okay, which people get to know you and like you, and then you're able to move them to trusting you, and then they'll want to do business with you. It is going to take a little bit of time to do that, but if you know exactly how to do that, then you can speed this particular process up. So let's talk about why you'd want to do that, okay? And one of the key things when you have a strong personal brand, there was a little post that I had done a couple of weeks ago where you had Ronaldo, who just recently signed up to play with Manchester United. And all the Premier League football clubs, they have 184 million social media followers. Yet, someone like Ronaldo has 335 million. So, people like to connect with a person. They relate more to a person. And whether you're looking at someone who's a footballer or someone who's in business, Microsoft has a certain number of followers on social media, but Bill Gates has a lot more. Tesla has a certain number of followers, but on Twitter, Elon Musk has so many more. So the personal brand is so important. And if you're going to use this particular platform, even if you are having a very active LinkedIn company page, your LinkedIn profile is going to have 10 times more visibility and traction. And therefore, it's very important that you know how to build a strong personal brand. And the key thing about the strong personal brand is that if you become a titan in your niche, you become a very well recognized brand, then you are able to really, what happens is you're able to move up this value line very quickly. And it is people who are really super strong personal brands that can command that top 1% of pricing. And what has to happen in the process of you building a super strong personal brand, you're able to get across this key thing. And I'd like you to write this down. Incontestable value. Because if you don't have that built up, then what happens is if you're unknown, then unfortunately you're at this lowest tier where you will be challenged on price, okay? Whereas if you begin to improve your brand building and you become more and more well-known, then you will move up. You might then compete on price or your pricing may get accepted, but when you become really that top 1% in your industry and niche, then you get the best clients. You outperform people in terms of profitability. And building incontestable value is having a systematic way in which you're able to not only build your personal brand, but also monetize it. Now, it may be monetizing it in terms of your career growth, or it is monetizing it in terms of getting high-paying clients, okay? So let's look at some of the key things that you can do that is going to help you. So this is the key framework that I'm going to be taking you through. And you will notice at the center here of this, okay, you've got to know who is your ideal client or your ideal audience, okay? Because that is the hub, that is the center of the universe as far as your particular brand and business goes. If you understand who your ideal client or your ideal audience is, then it becomes very easy to begin to do all of the other things. And we begin from pitch, we move to profile, we then build the right set of prospects, we publish, we productize, and we then have a very clear profit pathway. So let me take you through these things in more detail. The first thing that we've really got to put together is we've got to put together what I call a painkiller pitch. This is perhaps one of the most underestimated parts of building a strong personal brand. People are attracted to people who can solve problems. They're attracted to companies that can solve problems. And I just want to share two quick case studies where we had Amit, who decided that instead of being a distributor, he wanted to now move up the value chain. And he decided to become a manufacturer himself and get distributors. And he was in the premium lighting segment. We worked on really zoning in his pitch. And we were able to do that in a short time, which during COVID, we helped him land 19 new premium lighting distributors. And these were in each city across India. We identified who were some of the top people. You know, if he could wave his magic wand, who would he want as his distributor there? So we really had a list of the most powerful influencers in this particular market. And because we got the pitch right, he was able to get phone calls with them and convert them, and it generated $1 million of new inquiries and projects which are already underway using this. There was someone else from the coaching and training institutes, and he was looking at helping people really learning English. And he kept on saying, oh, you know, I train people on English. And when we worked with Piyush, we understood that, in fact, he was not in the English training business, but actually he was in the business of helping people get promotions. And typically what we found out was that his target market were mid-level executives who had been passed over for a promotion because their written and spoken English wasn't good enough. And when we crafted that into a powerful USP, and my definition of a USP is not unique selling proposition, but unique serving proposition, he was able to get a 300% increase in his business in 9 months. So that's the power of getting this right. And when I say it's got to be a painkiller pitch, you've got to identify between a need to have versus a nice to have. And what do I mean by that? Okay, think of something like this to be a multivitamin, and that would be a nice to have. Okay, but if I've got a headache, then something like a painkiller would be essential. And right now, because budgets have got tight, people are very particular about where they spend money. It's not that they're not spending money. They are spending money, but they want to make sure that it is something essential. So if you make sure that your pitch talks about how you solve the key number one problem that your audience has, your target market has, then you will be able to put together a very powerful pitch. Now, I have a formula, and I want to quickly, very quickly, take you through this. Okay, so SA stands for who is the specific avatar.
Which one? Shikam.
Okay, who is the specific avatar, the target market. Okay, then C stands for a currency that you help them get a result. So typically there are 4 key currencies. You know, one would be related to revenue, kind of profits. Another one would be related to wealth. Another one would be related to relationships. And last one would be related to someone's health and well-being. Okay, so typically you've got to zone in on one of those and say, okay, what is the number one problem that we solve? Now, M, you've got to make sure that you help people get a measurable result. So what is the measurable result that you help them get? Okay, so with Piyush, we identified that, okay, we will help you get your dream job in the next 90 days. So it's something which is very measurable. And here, T stands for you've got to have a certain timeline that you help them achieve their result. And then minus P, what are the problems typically your target market faces that you help solve? So take, for example, in my case, without wasting time, without confusion, and without spending a fortune on marketing, okay? Because those are things that I know I end up solving. What is the core currency? I help clients win $10,000 plus clients using LinkedIn in just 15 minutes a day. So that's the currency, that's the measure, and the specific timeline. So if you have this, then it's something that you can use throughout. You can use that in an introduction when people ask you, what do you do? You can use that in your LinkedIn profile, in the about section, in the headline, all sorts of things. So these are things that really open up conversations, okay? So that's all related to the pitch. I just want to check in with people. How are you guys all doing? If you can put in, some comments, that would be great. Is this all making sense to you? Just have a quick sip of water in the meantime. Okay, Ritesh, specific avatar is the ideal target market, the ideal customer. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so let's keep it moving on because I have a lot of content to cover. P stands for problems that you end up solving. So without what problems or what frustrations do you save them from that you know your target market doesn't like? Okay. Ali, have a look at my first line of my about section in my LinkedIn about section, and you'll see the first two lines should be that. And plus, look at some of the people that have given me recommendations and testimonials. Have a look at their about sections, and you will see some great examples of these painkiller pitches. Okay, next, what you've got to do is the pitch is essentially your promise, okay? And now what you've got to do is make sure that your profile is congruent with the pitch. The profile is congruent with the pitch. It is going to attract the end client, the target market, the perfect prospect that you are trying to attract. And there are 5 key things that you want to get right as far as your profile goes. Number 1, your profile photo. Your profile photo is the most viewed part of your photo. And just like, say, I'm going to use a fun example here, okay? Say like Tinder, okay? That's a dating app, right? Your profile photo is going to make a difference whether someone decides to, swipe left or swipe right, Just like that, it actually makes a difference. When you send someone, say, a connection request, and you have a good profile photo, that actually causes people to have a first positive impression, okay? So number 1 is the profile photo. Number 2 is your profile banner. Does that amplify your authority, credibility, or expertise? Authority, credibility, or expertise. Those are the 3 things that we want to do. And people are very visual. The brain, is able to process visual information much better. So, they will look at your photo first, and then, they will end up looking at your banner second. So you've got to get that right. Next is your headline. And your headline is just underneath your name, okay? And you want to end up using some key words that, think in terms of SEO. What would your target market be searching for? Because why? Because LinkedIn is a search engine. Not only is it a search engine, but it is so well optimized for Google that LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile, if someone searches for your name in Google, is very likely to be the first thing that shows up, okay? And if you use the right keywords there, you will be able to get a lot of search appearances. Otherwise, you are going to be invisible on LinkedIn. So this is part of your visibility factor and people being, you being visible, okay? Next thing that you want to make sure that you get right is the about section. And what I'm going to say quickly here is that the first two lines of the about section are the most important. And that's where you actually need to put in your painkiller pitch, because people, if they want to read more, they will then click on see more. And that actually entices people to want to see more. If you put that together in a good way, and it actually acts like a sales page for you. For the people who are actually interested in working with you, they will read through that or skim through that, because they want to know. And this, again, will build your authority and credibility and expertise. And lastly, you should at least make sure that you have some recent recommendations and you at least have 5+ recommendations on your profile, okay? This is social proof that you are good. Rather than you saying you are good, it lets others, the other people who work with you, they are saying you are good. Okay, so it's like, say, having a Yelp review or a Google review or something like that. All of that makes a difference. Okay, and some of you may not also know that if you are using the services section, then you can have up to 20 star rated reviews on your LinkedIn profile itself. Okay, it's not a very well known fact, but you can have that. Okay, so if you set this up in the right way, it makes you very visible and people begin to get to know who you are. They begin to also like you. Okay, now let's keep this moving forward. Okay, now one of the best ways in which you can really become visible is if you publish. And why? Because 5%, actually it's less than 5%, it's 4.9%. Only 5% of the users, of the total users on LinkedIn, publish content. Therefore, if you are one of the 5% that is publishing quality content, then it's all these, you've got all the eyeballs. You are immediately able to grow your personal brand. You not only become visible, but you can then use publishing to build your credibility. Okay. So how do you begin to do that? Okay. So one of the easiest ways there is that you begin to post. And if you begin to take your expertise and turn it into short, easy to consume posts, then you will begin to get the right target market and begin to engage them. And this is very, very important. So let me share some key parts. First, you've got to create content which is problem aware. Why? Because your end clients are very aware of their problems, but they may not even know that there is a solution available. So if you talk about something related to the problems, it's immediately going to grab their attention. That's why when they use headlines, which are negative headlines in the news, they know it's going to get the eyeballs. So if you agitate, if you start a post with a key problem that they face, it's going to hook the reader in. Okay, so that should be 70% of people are actually problem aware. Only 15% are solution aware. And you can then begin to unpack your intellectual property, your expertise of how you've helped people in a similar situation. You can use things like case studies. You can use how-to posts, document posts. You can even use a poll which talks about the problem, and then you're able to give some solutions. And then what happens is people begin to become aware that you know the problem, but not only that, you also have a solution of that. And then last is when we call people are results aware. And the best way to do that is through case studies and testimonials. Again, this is the this is the social proof that you're able to help people get results. Okay. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you here is I have a content formula, okay, which is the 60-30-10. Okay, so 60% I share inspirational content. Okay, 30% is I share my 30% is my expertise. So I share posts using my expertise, and 10% are what I call promotional or kind of sales, direct sales type posts. Okay, so you will notice that it's 60-30-10, 60% inspirational. And I just want to show you, there's a post that I did, okay, and this is an example of one of the posts that I did recently, okay, and you can see that it is a kind of a hero's journey kind of post about something that happened about 20 years ago, and then how life is now, okay, and you can see here the reactions that I've had over 356 reactions, 130 comments, and it's had some 33,000, nearly 34,000 views. One good post like this can suddenly skyrocket your visibility. I had a 500% increase in the number of people coming to view my profile. Okay, it is nothing related to my business, but it is something about some key challenges that I faced, and then how was I able to solve them, and sharing some key anecdotes. Okay, and it really worked well. There was another post that I did, which went viral, and it was right now what I would say one of the things that's working is polls. Polls are working really well. Okay, so I want to just show you quickly that I did a poll, and this particular poll, I asked something that was contentious. And I was asking, is your LinkedIn profile more important than your resume or CV? Okay. And then I ended up tagging some key HR and recruiters on it. And you can see it's had some 2,300 plus votes. It's closed now. It had 50 likes and 114 comments, but again, 108,000 views. Okay. Again, it drove massive amount of traffic. And not only that, within this, I had said that, look, I actually have a checklist. If you want to, because in my book, the LinkedIn profile now is more important than a resume. Okay. And if you want to upgrade your profile, then I offered a checklist, and all people had to do was type the word checklist below. So this helped me then also generate leads. Okay, so these are simple things that you can begin to do, which help you get the right publishing done, highlight your expertise, and help you move forward. Now, how do we begin to do that? A lot of people get stuck with content. So let me help you do that. This is how we end up productizing your business, and you can use this to actually help you create content. So do this on, draw a line. You've got two faces. One is a happy face on the right. On the left, you've got an unhappy face. So that's where the journey starts. And what do you help people do? What are some key milestones? So let's just say that we help them cross 3 major milestones. Let's call them A, B, and C. Okay. And let's break down each major milestone into 3 simple steps. Okay, so A is steps 1, 2, and 3. B is broken down into steps 4, 5, and 6. C is steps 7, 8, and 9. And if someone ends up taking all of these particular steps and successfully implementing them, then you will take people to the promised land, which is to help them get the results that they really desire and want. Okay, and that actually, you can then begin to create stories and posts around that. And you can also end up creating a visual roadmap, which is very easy for people to understand. Okay, and this becomes content pillars around which you can begin to create content. Not only that, this can actually even be used to audit prospects, to find out where they currently are, what their current situation, and this will increase your sales. This will increase your conversions. You can use this as part of your sales process. And if you are selling complex products and services, then having a roadmap like this is a visual way, remember what I said earlier, that the brain processes visual information much faster than text. So this is a visual way in which you can then create marketing assets and begin to visually map out your expertise. And then here, what you can do is you can build a product line which is showing, that you have a particular roadmap. Say here, this is a low price product, this is a mid price product, and maybe this is a high priced product. Okay, so you're able to have a range of products, because what I found is that when people have gaps, they make it hard for people to get started. Someone, say you have a product and your main product is $100,000, they may not start initially with $100,000. But if you have something which might be, like 3,000, then, that might be a product that you can get them started with. It helps build trust. They get to know you, like you, they can see the results, and then it's easier to graduate them to high-level products. Now, some companies out there, want to save a lot of time. They've understood that you have a solid brand. They've understood the expertise that you bring to the table, okay? And that's why if you build a solid brand, there are some people who will immediately go to your highest price product, or if not that, your mid-level product. And what it does is it compacts your sales cycle, because they've been seeing that you're able to, what's the problem you're solving, they know how you're able to solve it, they see the kind of results you're able to help people get. And when you do some of those promotional posts, which invite people to do business with you, it could even be through a direct message, then people will jump and say, yes, I'm ready to go ahead with this. And this is why it's important to do that. It also makes the business a lot more scalable than having to do, completely bespoke things every single time. It also helps you to build some very strong niches and kind of audiences. Okay, lastly, let's come to some profit pathways. And if you really want to build a solid profit pathway and monetize the strong personal brand that you're building, then you need to follow this particular formula. The first thing you need to have in your system is some way of generating leads, okay, which is lead generation. Then you need to have some way to convert the lead into a prospect and a paying client. V stands for value maximize. So, this is why I was showing you this particular product line here, and it goes up so that you're able to, even if you get a client at a lower price point, you have a roadmap where you're able to help them graduate to higher, more profitable products. And then the A, if you're able to build in some automation to help you do the lead generation, conversion, and the value maximization, then you will have a predictable and consistent cash flow. And that is the key if you want to make sure that you have a solid brand and you've been able to monetize it. So you're going to be able to use this particular platform and to be able to do that. So take, for example, I have key elements also within my LinkedIn profile that help convert, help generate leads, help convert leads into prospects, help existing customers to move up the value chain, all of those particular things, and they've been strategically thought about. I hope this is all making sense. I've covered the key things that I wanted to cover. I wanted to leave some time for Q&A. So Sharad.
Yes, thanks, Neeraj. I have picked up, a lot of important tips from you, and I have a couple of questions to start off before I put forward the audience questions to you.
Yeah.
If you remember, Neeraj, we first connected, got to know each other through LinkedIn. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I remember last year sometime you had reached out to me based on a post that you had seen on LinkedIn. And then we got on a Zoom call and we thought of doing these webinars for you. And down the road, this is our third webinar. You were very generous in connecting me to some members of your network, like Terry Vincent from Australia, who did a webinar with us. You also introduced me to a large international entrepreneurs group, of which I'm a part of. And in 2 weeks, we are hosting a webinar for them. So why I'm, relating the story or retelling the story is LinkedIn really helps you build a good quality network. And if you follow the tips that Neeraj has shared with you, you can have some quality people in your network. It, of course, takes time, right? There is no magic wand. You have to, be posting regularly quality posts, which brings me to my question to you, Neeraj. Let's say a person like me whose day job is running a digital agency, right? How much time should I be spending overall on social media? And as a percentage, how much on LinkedIn? Let's say per week. What is your advice to me?
I may be a bit too biased on LinkedIn, okay?
Right.
And I'll tell you one of the reasons why. My target market is on LinkedIn for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, that I'm looking for people who are decision makers and people who are already successful and can spend money, okay? So, these people, I'm able to find them on LinkedIn. They're not only are active on LinkedIn, but the LinkedIn search functionality helps me to refine my search across 7 key filters, including the type of industry, the previous job, the current job, and also job titles, so that I'm able to get in front of exactly the right people. I'm able to connect with the right people. So that is super important. Right now, what I would say is that because I also deal with entrepreneurs, my target market is also on Instagram. And Facebook has become just way too noisy. And the organic reach on Facebook, it's become a pay-to-play platform. So, you're having to spend, a good chunk of money to be able to get a return. Not to say that there's not a return possible. It is possible. But as I've shown you from some of the posts I showed you, 34,000 views, 100,000 views, the organic reach of LinkedIn is amazing. The
Right.
way it allows you to find the right people is amazing. So for that reason, I would spend time on LinkedIn. What I do is typically I spend 15 minutes in the morning from 8:55. Then, just before I have lunch, I'll spend another 15 minutes. And then at the end of the day, before I knock off work, I'll do another 15 minutes. So I end up doing
Right.
about 45 minutes, where I'm not always posting. I only end up posting 3 times
Right.
a week, but I'm engaging. I'm reading.
Yeah,
content.
absolutely. I've been reading also that ROE is the new ROI. Am I right? Return on engagement is the new ROI.
And the only way you're going to be able to get a return on engagement is if you build relationships. If people see you as a person and get to know you. And that's why doing a personal, inspirational post has had such a big impact, on my business. So don't just make LinkedIn all business and people don't get to know you as a person. You want a
Absolutely.
mixture of both.
Yeah, so I'm very quickly going to read out a few comments which are there on the chat. There's one that's coming from Sally. She says, excellent insights. I understand avoiding an immediate pitch if you are messaging someone. What kind of things instead do you connect on to build your relationship with direct messaging instead of pitching? You want to say something on that very quickly?
Yeah, so it's the things that will initiate conversations and keep conversations going. So think like it's a direct message sent via WhatsApp, and like a friend has introduced you, so look through their profile, do a little bit of homework, find commonalities, find similarities, saying, hey, I was going through your profile, I found this. I'm also interested in this, would love to learn more. And then ask a question. So then, it gets the conversation going. Because that's the transition point, okay? And then you can talk a little bit about your work, and then you can talk more about, okay, hey, I have this particular resource, would you be interested in? So then, it's step by step.
Yeah.
And that's how you can get people off LinkedIn and get into their inboxes. Because if they say, yes, I want that resource, let me know what the best email ID would be to send it to.
Correct. Yeah.
And then you can use some automation using things like email automation.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip. And I've been using that and it works really well. There's another comment from Udayan Kelkar all the way from UK. And he says he finds a lot of personal content being shared on LinkedIn. Is there a danger of LinkedIn becoming another Facebook? What do you have to say on that?
I'm going to disagree if you've set up your profile in the right way and it's fully optimized so that it acts, as a serious sales page. And the other thing is that make sure that you only accept connection requests from people who fall into your target market, and you engage with posts that are from people from your target market. Because then what will happen is that the LinkedIn algorithm will understand that these are the kind of people that are important for you and only keep showing you more of that.
Right. Vipul pipes in and he says, do you think inspirational quotes work for C-suite people?
Inspirational quotes do work. What you've got to do is not just have the inspirational quote, but maybe have some bit of a write-up to that, where at least maybe it might be 6 lines or something, and where you're asking for something in terms of an engagement. Are you agreeing with something like this, or or you might pick up something which is contentious and disagree with it, or my point of view is something else, because people are interested in that, and it gets the conversation going. Because the more people that end up commenting on your post, the algorithm picks up that, hey, this is something important. And then it begins to show more and more people within your network and then outside of the network.
Right. And also Kamalis, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. His question is, are there specific days or times when the posts get more engagement? What's your experience on this one?
So I went about doing a poll on this to find out first, when do people actually log on to LinkedIn? What are the typical timings? Okay. And what I found is that more than 50% of people do it before 10 a.m. Before midday. So, if you kind of look at the initial, which is like, I don't know, I had done, I think, timings from between 7 to 10 and, 10 to 1. And, I had more than 56% of people saying that. So what I'm going to say is that I do my posting in the morning, just before 9. Typically you'll see a lot of my posts around 8:55 a.m. And I seem to be getting good traction despite a lot of people complaining that their organic views have died and, they're getting much less views. So
Right.
I would say that. The other thing is that people, the evening time is also another time which got a good response. So you might end up then putting some comments of your own or tagging some people, but then you don't know who those people are, or you might keep a note of who are some of the people who end up commenting on your post in the evening to know that,
Right.
okay, these are typically those sorts of users. I think the
Right.
other thing is be aware of what time, if you're working across different time zones or different geographies, then know what time is their normal work day.
Right.
So you might want to start there.
Yeah, a couple of more quick questions. Vipul wants to know, do videos work on LinkedIn posts?
Videos used to work well. Polls have taken over completely right now. You are getting 80% more engagement with polls right now because it is very high engagement, and LinkedIn likes that. The video views have been coming down. Not to say that videos still don't work. They do. But what I would say to you is, instead of video views, something which has much higher views is document posts. So take, for example, Sharad, the kind of document post that you used to talk about this webinar, okay, which is like slide deck, that works. So, polls, documents, videos, inspirational text posts, which are long text posts with a photo and a strong headline, okay, posts that are working very well right now, as I've shown you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And one more quick one. How often should one be updating their profile banner and their profile itself?
You should keep your profile updated regularly. So, every quarter look to update it. If you are someone who's, say, into events or launching some major thing, okay, then I think the LinkedIn banner is a great place to tell the world about it, So, if you've got a major event coming up, then you should use that. And then, you should have one of your main ones, which is your normal one. And then, you should have an event based one.
Right.
So that's what I would say. You should be looking to get maybe a couple of new recommendations every month.
Right.
And I'll let you into a secret. One of the best ways to get a recommendation is if you give good recommendations.
Yes, I think that works well. And those are all very handy and practical tips. I've got almost 20 points that I've noted since you started, Neeraj. So Likewise, I'm sure the audience has got great value from this webinar. So it's time for me to thank the audience for investing their 60 minutes with us. Obviously, a big thank you to Neeraj for sharing his wisdom with us. And for those who might have missed out, or you want to share this content later with your friends and your network, there will be a recording and a podcast of this webinar available later today on onlywebinars.com. So do check in and keep sending your comments even after this webinar through our website. You know how to reach me. And Neeraj, how can people reach you after this webinar? Can you share your credentials one more time?
Yes, so neerajshah.me. In fact, I'll just quickly just share.
Yeah, and while you are putting your email address and your website there, I would request all of you to be connected with Neeraj on LinkedIn. And I promise you good things will start happening. And for starters, he always shares rich content. It adds a lot of value.
Actually, I have something. I have a small free gift for people that will help them. So let me just share that. I will just share that. Just give me a second.
Okay, while you're doing that, I also want to tell the audience that we have a lot of more exciting webinars coming up. There's one tomorrow and then a couple the week after, and very action-packed October. So do make it a point to check out our calendar on the website, onlywebinars.com. You'll see a lot of interesting webinars. And the best comment I've got so far from one of our audience members is that they do a webinar binge watching. This is a new phrase I picked up. So I thought people were doing binge watching on Netflix, but there's a new breed of people coming up that get a lot of value from webinars. So have a look. And yeah, Neeraj, so what are you sharing with the audience? Can you walk us through that?
Sorry, let me share that. Okay, so hopefully you should be able to see my screen.
Yes.
So if you see this lp.neerajshah.me, NEERAJSHAH.me, okay, you will be able to get a LinkedIn checklist, a LinkedIn profile checklist. So, and you can see my website is here, neerajshah.me, so you can find out about me there.
Great. So thanks again, audience and Neeraj. And Neeraj, before we sign off, I have to tell you that you had 96% attendance throughout the webinar, hardly any dropouts, so which is highly, highly engaging and one of the highest in all the webinars we've done thus far. So you will have a free gift coming your way from me in the mail. So look out for that one. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you all, and see you on the other side. Stay safe and be good. Bye-bye.